I'm not really sure where to begin, as I'm not much of a writer, but I'll try my best. My name is Jack, and I grew up in a small town just outside Indianapolis. My father was a decent, hardworking man. He was a factory worker most of his life. He always liked to joke around with me, pointing to different cars driving by and saying, "Hey, did you know I built that one?" It was fun for the first 100 times, but he was relentless. My mother, on the other hand, she was a banker. She liked to joke that she was a millionaire, but only at work. My parents were a match made in heaven, I suppose. Growing up, my life was as cookie cutter as life could be. I didn't have a lot of friends, just a few close ones who I hung out with constantly. I never got into any trouble, never did drugs, and never missed a day of school. I was that perfect child parents always dreamed of having. While some of my friends did get themselves into mischief sometimes, I was always that kid who never went with them. Sure, it cost me some friendships, and people eventually stopped inviting me to do things, but none of that really mattered to me. After graduating high school, my father wanted me to go into the factory business, but I was never very good with manual labor. I was more of a technical guy. Hand me a computer over a wrench any day. Even though he was mildly disappointed at hearing this, he was still very supportive. I went to college and got a bachelor's degree in accounting. To some of you, that might sound as the stupidest degree someone could get. But for my whole life, I've always been good with numbers, and there's always a need for someone to process those numbers. Someone may look at it and see stupid. I look at it and see job security. Though I must agree, my job is extremely boring. Not long after graduating college, I had a job offer from a corporation in the city, processing audits and the like. It wasn't a very good job, and the long hours made me cringe, but the pay was great. That's what it all comes down to in the long run, I guess. Money. I accepted, and for the better part of the last 6 years, I've been working there. My life hardly got more exciting after I started working there. The most exciting thing I've ever done was move into a house. It was a really nice place. Cozy. And on the complete opposite side of the city from my job. Commuting to work and back was nightmarish, but there wasn't much else I could do. So every single day, for years, I would wake up extra early in the morning, shower, shave, get dressed, drink coffee, and drive 45 minutes to my mundane job. Every single day for 2 years straight. This repetition has been my whole life. Then, one day, something happened. It was an overcast morning, and for some reason my alarm didn't go off. So right from the very beginning, I was already having a pretty crappy day. As I scrambled to get ready, I nicked my chin with my razor, and I spilled coffee all over my brand new shirt and tie. I dashed outside, threw my briefcase into my car, started it up and drove away. For about 3 minutes. The horrendous clunk under the hood of my car rattled the interior, and I felt my heart sink with each thud. Shortly after, my car came to a rolling stop only a few houses away from my own. I rested my head on my steering wheel, regretting ever getting out of bed this day. As I resigned myself to walking to the bus stop, I stepped out of my car and onto the sidewalk. Just as I did, a young boy came running past me. He tripped on the pavement and landed face first on the concrete. Shocked, I ran over to the boy and helped him up. His face had minor scrapes on it, and I asked him if he was all right. It was then that he said something to me, and it's the reason I'm writing this story in the first place. The look in the boy's eyes were vacant, like he was in some sort of trance. It was as if he were looking through me. He said, 4 years from today, your death will come. I could only blink in response as I stared at the boy. A moment later, who I assumed was his mother came rushing out of a nearby house. She gave me an accusatory glare, and it was at that moment that I realized I was a grown man holding and talking to a small boy who wasn't my son. I quickly backed away and told the mother that he tripped and I was helping him up, though that didn't seem to make things better. I apologized to her and walked away. But then the boy said another thing that gave me a moment of pause. He said, "Goodbye, Jack." I froze in mid-step. When I looked over my shoulder, the boy looked to his mother, smiled, laughed, and ran off back towards his house. Entering my own house, I called my work and requested some time off. They didn't mind, as I had never even taken a sick day up until now. I spent a few weeks racking my brain on how that boy knew my name and what he had said earlier. Then, I spent another few weeks trying to just forget the whole incident ever happened. I wrote that day off as just a really bad day and tried to put it behind me. Over the years since, my life once again resumed its mundane repetition. I take that back. I did get a promotion at my job, so I was now head supervisor of the accounting department, which was just a fancy title for slightly more pay and even more outrageous work hours. 3 years is quite a long time, and had you asked me about that day, I probably wouldn't have fully remembered it. That was until last month. I was awoken in the middle of the night. There was no reason for my sleep to have been disturbed, as I heard no sounds and saw no one around me. I just opened my eyes at 3 a.m., fully awake. I got out of bed to get a glass of water from the kitchen. While I gulped down the glass, something caught my eye through the kitchen window. It was only for a moment, but it looked like somebody was standing outside my house, in the dark. I called the police simply because it was better safe than sorry. The operator told me they would send a car up and down my block, but that was the best they could do unless something else happened. I thanked them and hung up. I went back to bed without issue. And the next morning, while I sipped my coffee, I went to check for my morning paper. That's when I saw it. A letter taped to my door. It only said one thing: "Your time is almost up." Standing there, I could barely hear my mug shatter on the ground. Instantly, I was brought back to that day with that kid, and what he had said to me. 1,000 questions raced through my head. Was the kid still messing with me? Was this just some sick joke? Why would someone make a joke go on this long? I backed away from the door and checked my calendar. Even though I previously had trouble remembering the whole ordeal, with this sudden jog of my memory, I remembered the day specifically. It was only 1 month away. Ever since receiving that notice, I've called the police and reported it as a death threat, though I couldn't understand why anyone would target me. I've never done anything remarkable in my life. I've never hindered or hurt anyone. I've never let myself get close enough to anyone to hurt them. The police told me once again there wasn't much they could do, and I hated them for telling me that. The last few weeks after receiving that letter has been mental hell for me. I can hardly sleep. I don't leave my house for any reason. I know it's probably just a hoax, but I can't shake the what if from my mind. I've called my family and remaining friends, telling them all how much I love them. I've written out a will, though I don't even own that much, so it's probably not that important. I told my job that I needed some more time off, though I can tell they're getting antsy over me missing so much work. Tomorrow is supposedly the day. Looking back on my life, I've done absolutely nothing with it. I've never traveled. I've never had a relationship lasting longer than a few months. I've never experienced a whole lot of new things. I never lived. If I'm right and my last day on Earth is tomorrow, I will die with so many regrets. But if I'm wrong and I survive, there is so much I plan on doing. My advice and potential last words to every single one of you listening to this. Live. Live your lives as if they were going to end very soon. Explore the world. Fall in love, fall out of love. Eat new foods. And be the best person you can be. If not, you might regret it. Just like I do. I don't know what that boy was, or if I had wronged someone in the past. But I just want to say, if I don't survive tomorrow, then I am sorry. Sorry for not cherishing life as much as I should have.